That black Tesla didn't just stop in front of my house. It died like it was guilty, like it knew karma had finally caught up. And let me tell you, I didn't feel even a flicker of sympathy. I just stood there on my porch, arms crossed, thinking, yeah, karma keeps receipts. The owner, our neighborhood's self-appointed HOA queen, had been helping herself to my electricity for weeks, just quietly siphoning it off like she was filling a plate at some all-you-can-eat community buffet. Wildest part, I wasn't even her first stop on this power tour. If you've ever had a neighbor cross so many lines they forgot there even was a line, man, I want to hear your story. Seriously, drop it in the comments. I can't be the only one living next door to this kind of circus. But let's back up a second. See, I always thought the biggest drama on my street was figuring out which week to put out the recycling. Classic suburbia, quiet roads, perfect lawns, kids riding bikes with no helmets, garage doors wide open, and the wildest thing happening was Mrs. Peterson's roses creeping past someone's fence. Life felt so safe and predictable, you could almost forget the real world had problems. My name's Jasper, I'm 35, work as an electrical engineer, and for the past few years, I've been fixing up this little ranch house I call home. I design home power systems for a living, which, yes, is just as glamorous as it sounds. Basically making sure nobody's house goes up in smoke because they didn't wire a ceiling fan right. My life was steady, borderline boring, until last month, when my electric bill arrived and just about knocked me off my feet. Way higher than usual, and sure, it had been a hot month, but the numbers didn't make sense. If you're an engineer, your brain automatically goes into troubleshooting mode when stuff doesn't add up. I started checking everything. Were the lights left on? Was my AC running over time? Was my fridge suddenly a power hog? That's when I noticed something weird out by my garage, a mystery extension cord plugged into my outdoor outlet. At first, I thought maybe I'd forgotten plugging something in, but that cord was stretched all the way to the street. What? Did she think this was a public utility? Turns out, it led right to a spotless black Tesla Model S, shining like a trophy in a parking lot full of boring sedans. I hooked up a meter, and sure enough, she was drawing more juice than my refrigerator. It didn't take long to connect the dots. The Tesla belonged to Dahlia Thorne, 3 doors down and never out of HOA business. She'd once tried to get someone fined for having pink lawn flamingos, citing community aesthetics. I'd heard she was some ex-investment fund manager, always dressed for a board meeting, even to check her mail. Funny thing is, I tried installing a proper charging station last year, went through all the paperwork, even paid for a licensed electrician, but the HOA shut me down, claiming it didn't fit the neighborhood look. The kicker? Dahlia's on that same HOA board. First time I actually caught her plugging in, I was ready to walk over and ask what she was doing. But the look she gave me, like I was the one out of line, honestly left me speechless. A few days later, I ran into Mr. Green. He's lived here since Clinton was in office, and he tells me, she used to do that at Mr. Davis's place until he caught on. Now she's your problem. Apparently, she'd been rotating houses, plugging in until people complained. For a while, I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was having electrical problems. Maybe this was a one-off. But nope. Every evening, like clockwork, Dahlia would show up, extension cord ready, plugging in as if she owned the place. Every time I saw it, I'd go through the same debate. Say something or let it go. And every time, I let it go. Yeah, I know, I was being too nice. You know what they say? Sometimes being the nice guy just gets you trampled. I started polite, a friendly note on her windshield. Hey, I noticed you've been using my outlet. Let's chat? I even included my phone number to avoid any awkwardness. The note disappeared, but she never called. Next time, she looked right at me through my kitchen window and just smirked. Like the whole thing was a joke. I tried blocking the outlet with traffic cones. She just moved them aside. I even left a formal letter in her mailbox, suggesting she pay for the electricity or at least give me a heads up when charging. Crickets. If anything, she started charging more often. Frustrated, I vented to my buddy Liam. He's a cybersecurity guy, but still loves electronics. He warned me about shady charging devices. The kind people use to boost their car's charging speed illegally. Dangerous stuff, banned for a reason. That got me worried. What if she wasn't just stealing power, but also risking my home's wiring? So next time Dahlia left her Tesla charging, I crept outside to check. Under her charging cable, there was this sketchy-looking device, full of blinking LEDs, definitely not Tesla-approved. A quick search confirmed it. An illegal current amplifier, banned in 2019 for causing fires and damaging home systems. That changed everything. This wasn't just freeloading anymore. It was dangerous. At that point, I stopped seeing Dahlia as a neighbor. She was a threat. Instead of calling the cops or the HOA, which would have been pointless with her on the board, I handled it the engineer's way. Installed a surge protection cutoff that cuts the power for a few seconds if it detects any weird, potentially harmful devices. Totally legal, totally safe, and standard in the industry. The very next night, Dahlia plugs in, and bam, the Tesla freaks out. Lights flashing, dashboard warning messages, error beeps, the whole works. Every time she tries to charge, my system cuts the power, resetting the sequence. Watching from my kitchen, I'll admit, it felt like poetic justice. My house finally fighting back. But then things escalated. Dahlia, frustrated beyond belief, brings in the HOA, probably hoping to muscle me with her connections. A formal inspection gets scheduled. I debated removing my device to avoid trouble, but that felt like admitting I was in the wrong. So I left it. When the inspection team showed up, clipboard in hand, tied too tight, they checked everything thoroughly, right down to the last breaker panel. When they found my device, I explained what it was, why I'd installed it, even showed the technical specs and safety certificates. The inspector was actually impressed, told me it was cleaner than most municipal jobs. Just as they finished up, Dahlia arrived with perfect timing, plugging in her Tesla right in front of the whole team, determined to show everything was normal. Except she'd just had her charging port replaced at some fly-by-night repair shop. And the new part wasn't compatible with her illegal amplifier. The moment she plugged in, the car made a horrible clicking noise, lights flashed, and then total silence. The technician traced the problem and found the banned amplifier, explaining to everyone that it was the source of the electrical chaos. Dahlia looked like she'd shrunk a foot right there on my driveway. The aftermath? Her Tesla was totally fried. Insurance wouldn't cover it, citing illegal modifications. She had to sell it for scrap and buy a beat-up Honda. The HOA suddenly revised their policies, approved legitimate charging stations, including mine, and quietly told Dahlia never to pull that stunt again. For weeks, she avoided eye contact, slinking around the neighborhood. Her status was gone. Her power broken. But here's the twist, and I never saw it coming. A few months later, Dahlia showed up on my porch, hands shaking, holding a plate of warm apple cinnamon cookies. She apologized, said she finally understood the difference between demanding respect and earning it. From then on, she changed, resigned from the HOA board, started actually helping neighbors instead of bossing them, and even shared vegetables from her garden. We became friends, real friends, the kind built on mutual respect. Turns out the biggest surge wasn't electrical, it was emotional. I still have that protection device, but now my outlet only powers what people ask permission to use. And Dahlia, she votes yes on every charging station proposal. Justice, it turns out, isn't about revenge. It's about patience, and sometimes about fresh-baked cookies. Ever had a neighbor like that? Someone who thought the rules didn't apply to them? Tell me your story in the comments. Let's see just how common this kind of drama really is. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Let's talk about what's right, what's fair, and whether community really means anything when power's at stake.